Hey guys, I'm Sam Luce here with iZotope. In this video, I'm going to show you 3 levels of vocal mixing. In the first level, I'm going to show you some simple techniques that you can employ to get you in the right ballpark for mixing vocals. This is going to be perfect for intro level mixers. In level 2, I'm going to show you some techniques used by professional mixers that go beyond just compression and EQ and will really help kick your vocals up a notch. In level 3, we're going to take a look at some expert techniques used by pros, which will take your vocal all the way. And this is all while using Nectar 3, a vocal mixing plugin that can scale with you depending on how deep you want to dive. Let's jump in. Let's start by taking a listen to this vocal and see where it stands when it's completely dry. Okay, it sounds good. The performance is strong, but I think we can make it even better in the mix using Nectar. I find a great starting point for vocals is always Vocal Assistant within Nectar 3. Vocal Assistant will listen to your vocal and suggest a processing chain to get the best out of the vocal you have recorded. Let's check it out. In this instance, I'm going to use Assist, so Nectar will listen to the audio and create a custom preset to fit the vocal. Let's go to Next and choose exactly how we want it to sound. So a modern vibe is right for this track. And for intensity, let's stay at moderate. Let's not go too crazy right now. When we click Next, we'll be asked to play some audio for Nectar to take a listen to. Let's click Accept and hear what Nectar has suggested for us. So starting at the top of the chain, we've got an EQ, and Nectar has chosen to make a few cuts. These are frequencies that are going to cause a problem in the vocal. They may be resonances, they may be elements of too much in a certain frequency area that's going to be detrimental further down the line. So it's taken these out for us. Then we have the de-esser. This is just going to act upon the sibilance in the track, so those S sounds are not too prominent. Next up we have another EQ. This is the EQ that really does the main boosting. You can see here that we've really brightened the vocal. We've got a boost in the high-mid area and then in the high frequencies, and we're going to take a listen to that and hear how it sounds in a moment. Then we've got a compressor. This is reining in on the transients and keeping a nice level vocal all the way through. And we've got a very small amount of reverb here, just at 8% on the mix. We're going to come to that in a moment. Let's take a listen to this before and after and see exactly what Nectar Vocal Assistant has done for us. Okay, I love where this has taken me so far. For those just starting out with processing vocals, this is such a great place to start. Make sure you check out each link in the chain to see how Nectar is processing your track, as this can be a great educational tool. Try bypassing modules one by one to see how each is affecting the sound. For instance, let's go to the EQ. Let's just take that out of the chain and hear how that's affecting the sound when we then bring it back in.
I just need a small victory, a silver line to get me by.
That's really brightening things beautifully, and it's helping it to poke out the mix, but then the compressor that's next in the chain is helping to rein it in, so we have a nice, bright and present vocal, but it doesn't poke out too much. The processed vocal is sitting a little louder than the unprocessed vocal due to the EQ and compression we've applied, but we can easily see to this with just a small decrease on the channel fader. Importantly, the de-esser is working before we're adding that top end with the EQ, so it's taking out any sibilance before we're adding high end. So make sure you go through the chain and check out what each module is doing in turn, and you can really learn a lot from seeing what Nectar has done. Whilst Vocal Assistant provides you with a great kicking off point when mixing a vocal, the intermediate user will know that there are certain techniques we can use to take your vocal to the next level and get the sound that's in your head. A great way to do that is by using bus send effects. I've created 2 bus sends here. The first will be using Neoverb to tailor the reverb sound to the track. The second is a delay bus, again using Nectar, but this time I just have the delay module engaged. It's often worth taking a look through the presets menu to find something that fits your track nicely, and you can then further tailor the effect from there. Or, in the case of Neoverb, you can go for Reverb Assistant. Reverb Assistant will listen to your audio and create a reverb sound around the characteristics of the signal you feed into it, based on how you tell it you want it to sound. Let's check it out now. Here in Neoverb, we can manipulate the controls to get the reverb sound that we want. When we play the audio, Neoverb will start to listen to our audio, and we can change the reverb sound in real time. In this instance, I'm going to take the dry wet up to 100% as it's on a send effect, and play some audio. We can take the style somewhere between realistic and dramatic, or keep it somewhere in the middle. Then we can choose the size of the reverb. Do we want something really small, or do we want something really large? Then for the tone of the vocal, we can choose between clean, dark, bright, and airy. Okay, I think that sounds good. Let's click next. Here, the assistant is going to clean up the reverb using EQ. First, it's going to create a custom pre-EQ curve, which will EQ the sound before it comes into the reverb. After that, it's going to try and unmask. Let's take a look at that now and click accept. Neoverb works by creating a custom reverb sound and blending 3 different reverb types. The first here the Reverb Assistant has chosen is Reflections. That's going to be a small early reflections type sound. The second is a plate, which is a more traditional vocal reverb sound. And then finally, we've got Hall, which is going to be a very large reverb sound. We can adjust this node to create a blend between the 3 sounds. Currently, it's sitting somewhere in between the early reflections and the plate sound, as you can see here. It's not got too much of the Hall sound in there, as the node is very far away from that reverb icon. Let's take a listen now and just see if we can get a blend that we like. It may be that the one Reverb Assistant has chosen works, but it's nice to be able to tailor that. Okay, I feel that having just a touch more of that Hall sound in there is sounding really nice. But I do feel that this reverb is a touch bright, and this is where the pre-EQ comes into play. Neoverb has already EQ'd out the bottom end of the reverb for us, and this is crucial because it stops the mix muddying up from low-end reverb. But we can also cut out some of the high end by just going to the high-end node and dragging that down a touch. Let's take a listen to how this sounds before the EQ and then after it has been engaged. We're going to do this with a vocal soloed, just so we can really get the full effect.
Small victory, a silver line to get me by. I just need a win, a neon sign, an arrow shot, a tunnel line.
Having taken out that low and high end, it sounds like we've effectively turned the reverb down. But what we've actually done is just centered the reverb around the area that the vocal sits in that mid-range. So taking out the low end means we're going to get no mud from that reverb. And taking out the high end means it's going to be a little less present. And effectively we can turn up more of that reverb without hearing more of the reverb. And that's great for creating a natural vocal sound. Then the reverb EQ itself. This is where the unmasking comes into play. What I've done is told it to listen to an instance of Neutron that I have on the full mix, except the vocals. So every other instrument in this mix is going to this bus, but the vocal isn't. So it's going to take a listen to the rest of the mix and hear if there are any areas that need unmasking. In this instance, there's not much unmasking needed, because the rest of the mix isn't impeding upon that vocal reverb. But if it is, if you're getting a muddy vocal sound, if it sounds like the reverb is getting in the way of other instruments, this can be a great tool to use. You can simply hit play and you'll see where the rest of the mix lies on the scope here. From there, you can drag some nodes down so you can EQ out these areas in the reverb if they're creating a problem. Let's now take a listen to this vocal without and then with the reverb, and we'll hear exactly what we've added. I think it sounds great, but it's going to be made even better by using a touch of delay. The delay sound I'm going to use here is simple but effective. You'll notice that I have the track at 98 BPM. So I have the session in sync with the BPM of the track. And this is crucial when setting a delay. I'm going to set my delay time to an eighth note or a quaver. My feedback I'm going to leave at the default position of 30% for now, and take a listen to how the delay sounds in the track. I have my send amount up a fairly healthy amount, so we're going to hear a decent amount of this delay. Let's just press play and see how it sounds right off the bat.
I just need a small victory, a silver line to get me by.
Okay, it's creating a sort of echo effect. Let's just solo this track so we can hear the vocal and importantly the delay much more clearly. I'm going to take a look at this menu here. Currently we have the sound on analog, but we can choose between a digital sound, a more tape delay based sound, a dirty grunge sound, or an echo. It's worth just taking a listen to these different types of delay sounds and how they're going to alter the tonality of a delayed sound. Now these are based on some tried and trusted delay sounds. A tape delay is classic for a vocal. A grunge sound will give you a bit more of a dirty, distorted delay sound, so this is going to be based on what fits your track. But I'm just going to cycle through some of these and hear how they're going to change the sound of that delay. Starting at analog, I'm going to bring my amount up to around 50% so I get some more of that character in there. And just cycle through some of these and hear what changes they make.
I just need a small victory, a silver line to get me by. I just need a win, a neon sign, an arrow shot, a tunnel light.
Okay, I think the tape actually sounded better there. It's more familiar. It sounds like what I would expect a delay to sound like. All we need to do now is take the vocal out of solo and within the track, balance the level of delay sound coming into the mix. Let's do that now.
I just need a small victory, a silver line to get me by. I just need a win, a neon sign.
Okay, I think that's sounding good. It's worth mentioning that if we bring up the feedback, then we'll get more of the delayed sound. There will be more repeats in there. But for now, I like the amount that I've got, and I think this is making for a great vocal effects chain. So far you've seen how changes from level 1 to level 2 can really get you a pro sounding vocal. But we're not done yet. In the next stage, level 3, I'm going to show you how you can employ a more advanced technique, automation, to get your vocal past the finish line. To create even more interest in this section of the vocal, I've created another send, which is a vocal throw type effect. This means that it's a longer delay, in this case a quarter note or crotchet, and this is sounding only on the last words of each phrase. I've achieved this by automating the send level going into the bus at unity on the words I want to be delayed. This is creating a kind of call and response type effect, which in a section like this, where there is a lot of space, it helps to fill the gaps and add some interest to the production. Let's take a listen to this in action, then we're going to take it even further.
I just need a small victory, a silver line to get me by. I just need a win, a neon sign, an arrow shot, a tunnel light.
I like that a lot. As we're getting the delay sound from Nectar, we can make use of additional modules within the chain. Let's saturate this delay as well. Let's take it up to around 70 to 80% and then just cut off a little of the top end so we're not getting too much fizziness in that delay. Then we're going to send this call and response delay to the vocal reverb, and we're going to automate this send. So I'm going to take my automation mode into touch, and then as I play through the track, manipulate the send level going into the reverb. So I'm essentially playing this reverb as an instrument. I'm playing how much of that delayed sound goes into the reverb, bringing it up, bringing it down, so that it's not just a static effect. We can get really creative here. Let's go for it.
I just need a small victory, a silver line.
Okay, that felt good. Now if I scroll down, I can see that automation lane. I can see exactly the amount that I'm sending to that reverb. If we were to just send that reverb at a static level, I'm sure it would sound great. But having this amount of control by automating that send level really helps you put your own personal touch on the vocal and helps to create your sound. Now let's hear a complete before and after of this track, before any of the processing with the vocal completely dry, and then after the vocal has benefited from Vocal Assistant, Reverb Assistant, and all the bus and automation effects we've added.
I just need a small victory, a silver line to get me by. I just need a win, a neon sign, an arrow shot, a tunnel light. I just need a win, I just need a high, I just need a win, I just need it.
Thanks so much for watching. Feel free to approach your next vocal with as much or as little complexity as it needs. You don't always need to throw the kitchen sink at it, but if you do, now you know how. To find out more about Nectar 3, check out the video in the card. I've been Sam Luce. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.